Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another Zen podcast. With me on the couches today, I've got two special guests, Andy Dickinson. Hello, Andy.
Hi, Stu.
And Enzo Romano. Hello, Enzo.
Hi, Stu.
And we're here this afternoon to have a chat about SD-WAN, and it's more specifically some of the SD-WAN tiers that we offer here at Zen. And a good way to stage that is by saying that SD-WAN's quite a broad church. There's a lot of capability, a lot of features, a lot of tools, and we're very conscious about the fact that not all of that is necessary or required from day one. So what we want to try and do is position this so that we have the right tools for the job and the right tiers for the right customer. So with that in mind, I wanted to have a chat with you both about the tiering structure that we have at Zen for SD-WAN. And I wanted to make a start from the kind of entry level. So this is our SD-WAN Essentials package. And we'll come to you, Andy, to talk a little bit about what SD-WAN Essentials consists of. Could you give us a little bit of a view of the tools and the features that are in there for customers?
Sure. So SD-WAN Essentials uses the same underlying platform that all of our other SD-WAN platforms use. So it's Cisco Viptela or Cisco Catalyst engine. We use Cisco hardware and we just configure it in a more simple manner so that it provides the customers an analogy is something like IP VPN, MPLS networks.
Okay.
So it's a closed network which gives a simple service to customers, but also gives them that way of expanding and having a more flexible approach to their network. So in summary, the features that we provide in SD-WAN Essentials are we provide a closed network with no peer-to-peer networking, so everything is hub and spoke from a central location. All traffic is broken out to the internet from a central location, much like an IP VPN. One of the advantages over an IP VPN MPLS network is that there's no lateral movement across that network because it's hub and spoke. Unless you want it, we can configure it if you need to go from site A to site B directly. But we tend to see most traffic going through a central hub location where it can be processed, treated, and protected. We also configure backup services, so we'll have a primary circuit and a secondary circuit, but we won't have them active-active, whereas in other SD-WAN platforms, we'll have two active circuits, for example. But in this scenario, it's active-passive. We also, there's also many advantages over a traditional MPLS network in that you get visibility of the network using the inbuilt tools with SD-WAN. It gives you the flexibility of being able to use any IP connectivity. Okay. So if you've got a site that's connected by Starlink, for example, we can bring that into the SD-WAN Essentials network, whereas you couldn't do that with MPLS. If you've got a site in a managed office or hanging off an existing network, we can also bring that into the SD-WAN overlay. So there are many advantages over a traditional MPLS network, which is mainly around flexibility.
Okay. So it sounds like if you're an existing customer of MPLS, you're going to see this topology and kind of relate to it. It looks and feels the same, but it has additional flexibility capabilities, the kind of things we associate with SD-WAN, like more visibility through reporting tools. And I think it's got some cloud hooks as well, and that you can connect into cloud services.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So previously, we'd have to build a connection from the MPLS network through a Cloud Connect service to the cloud services such as AWS or Azure. With SD-WAN, we can just deploy it natively into the cloud service. So we can deploy virtual routers into AWS or Azure or GCP to provide that capability and effectively create another site in your network, which brings your services which are in the cloud into your wide area network.
Okay, that sounds really good. And I guess, Enzo, from a customer point of view, that lets us deliver more value, or at least it allows us to kind of shape that value around what the customer needs. So keeping those costs down. What kind of customer engagement do you see that working with? Is that
Yeah, it's probably worth just kind of spending a bit of time just kind of setting the scene in terms of how we got to where we did in terms of the tiering approach. And, very briefly, we, Zen, have had a lot of success in managing Cisco SD-WAN environments and delivering those environments for the last 4 years. And predominantly where that success has been geared towards is the enterprise space, large business enterprise space, because the inherent nature of Cisco SD-WAN, it's highly configurable, highly tailored to individual requirements, and that's what's really attracted enterprises to that platform and to Zen as a partner because of its configurability. In terms of the tiering, where we kind of introduced this, is we recognise that the nature of Cisco SD-WAN, because it is so customizable on the platform, we can actually scale up to enterprises, but actually there's an opportunity to scale it back to meet simpler requirements.
Yeah.
And we have a quite significant base of wide area network customers. The majority of those are on MPLS, IPVPN, and really for them there's not necessarily a requirement for the all singing, all dancing configurability at the top end for the enterprises, and actually they just need something that is, like you said, Stu, is more familiar to what they're running at the moment, albeit with introducing a bit more flexibility and a bit more visibility. So I think really, we talk about the licensing that's part of the platform, that has certain tiers as well. So really for kind of customers that operate anything from 10 to 50 sites, that's a kind of a sweet spot for the essentials where, the requirements match well with what Andy's just spoken around. So I think, customers who, both existing customers who are on an existing IPVPN with Zen, across any vertical really, and potentially customers that we're looking to engage with that are coming off or running MPLS currently and don't have any desire for perhaps some of the more advanced tooling that's on offer and just need something that's quicker to deliver, I think that would be a great candidate.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess the benefit here as well is that it's still SD-WAN in essence. So if you need to introduce new things, additional capabilities, then you've got that flexibility as well. You're not confined to the topology or the configuration options in SD-WAN Essentials. You can move beyond that. So Andy, we have 2 additional tiers that kind of sit on top of that. We've got business and enterprise. Can you talk a little bit about what's involved in the business tier?
Yeah, so business enterprise can be thought of as equivalents in terms of features. So they're both the same feature sets. However, it's about scale. So the enterprise version is for a larger scale deployment, so usually upwards of 50 sites, whereas the Zen Business one is around about 50 sites or less. But you both of these tiers get the same capabilities in terms of local breakout, so we can allow internet traffic to break out locally from all the sites at our choosing. So, for example, Windows updates, you might want that traffic to leave locally. You might use a third-party proxy service such as Umbrella or Zscaler, which will break out locally from all those sites. All the sites will, whether they're in high availability mode or they're in dual circuit deployments, can use both paths actively. So they're active deployments. So you can choose which traffic uses circuit A and which traffic uses circuit B, for example.
Okay.
You also get the extra capability of added analytics on on both these tiers. So we give you more visibility on what your applications are doing, what all your sites are doing, what your circuits are doing. Which is, by the way, you can purchase that on top of the Essentials license, so you can add that visibility. It's just a bolt-on for the Essentials tier.
Okay.
But it's included within business and within enterprise.
Okay. And the question about breakout, Andy. So in SD-WAN Essentials, if you've got 2 circuits, is it kind of active passive only? So in business, you can start using both of those circuits. Is that the case?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's really useful. And the analytics side of things, which we use a product called LiveSP, I think, for adding that in. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what that does?
Yeah, so if you've got the LiveSP capability, which you automatically get with both enterprise and business, it effectively automatically records your application usage, your circuit usage, your latency, delay, packet loss, which you got access to through a dashboard, and you can drill into those details. You can look historically over time when you've got performance issues, when you've got bandwidth issues. You can generate reports from that data. So it's useful as just an analytics tool for how your network is performing and what your hotspots are.
Cool. That sounds really useful. And in terms of topologies, because we talked about with SD-WAN Essentials, we've got a hub and spoke topology. Can we introduce different topologies with those business and enterprise tiers? Can customers start to change that in terms of how that's configured?
Yeah, so you can get much more complex topologies. They tend to be hub and spoke, but multiple hub and spokes. Okay. So you'll have, for example, a data center which is a hub to multiple sites, but you'll get another data center which is a hub to other sites within the same network, and we can control that topology to give you the optimal use of your network. So a lot of it is down to segmentation because of security, and you want to isolate certain parts of the network. Yeah. So yes, we give you that capability.
Yeah. And that's one of the key strengths of SD-WAN generally, isn't it? Is that ability to have flexibility over deploying topologies and having multiple topologies for different types of traffic and things like this, which is really useful. And then so it's possible for customers to kind of flex up and down through these tiers. You're not kind of confined to one.
No, you're not confined. I think, as we know, businesses' requirements evolve over time. So, as a partner, we're obviously flexible enough to be able to kind of accommodate different tiers. And as Andy mentioned, there are bolt-ons that could be applied in life if required. I think the other point to really kind of mention as well is, we talk about customer perception. I think, there's this kind of view that, especially when they're running on an IPVPN, which has been an established technology for some time, there's sometimes a bit of nervousness around, from a cost perspective, moving away from that trusted environment to something new. The SD-WAN has been quite involved as a process to migrate towards. And that's what we've really worked upon, especially with the kind of essentials tier and business tier for that matter, in that I think at the enterprise level, which we've worked and focused on in the last few years, the level of professional service involvement can be quite significant. So because of the inherent nature of Cisco SD-WAN as a platform, it requires a lot of time both to deliver and design and engineer these solutions. And by kind of almost kind of, focusing the scope of what we deliver, it means that professional services effort is vastly reduced. So it reduces that kind of barrier to entry and allows them, an easier roadmap for customers to move towards.
I know we've put quite a lot of effort, Andy, into both automation and standardization for the deployment to make that kind of smooth and low touch. It might be worth just spending just a couple of minutes just talking about the migration. So if you are an MPLS customer today and you're looking at SD-WAN Essentials as being your next step, how straightforward is that transition?
So if we're talking about as existing Zen customer with a migration, it's much easier, obviously. What we do is we'd assess the current hardware environment. If it supports SD-WAN, in most cases it would, we'll arrange for the migration to be cut over. So there's two parts to it. One is the circuit needs to be cut over to a public-facing service. So it's not in the IPVPN anymore, it's public. And also at the same time, we redeploy the device, the hardware, as an SD-WAN appliance. Okay. So we don't need anybody on the ground to do this. It can all be done remotely. And we've streamlined it in such a way that we've automated a lot of the processes. So everything's standardized. So it's quite simple in terms of the reconfiguration of those devices. So it's it's relatively risk-free. So it can be managed remotely. And it's a pretty straightforward deployment. And it's also really quick in that for a traditional MPLS deployment, for example, it would take quite a lot of professional services, a lot of engineering time to build the capability in the core network. Whereas it's just mainly automated, so we can just deploy it on demand. So there's no significant delays waiting for these services to go live.
Okay. And alongside that automation and that ease of delivery, we've still got the reassurance, Enzo, of having a project team. We can still provide field engineer support if it's needed.
Yeah, absolutely right. So, in effect, you kind of, as a customer, being supported by the same teams, across, like say, project management, engineering, support, commercial. It's just within a more focused environment, and that's literally what we're looking at. It's kind of tailoring an approach to meet an individual customer need. So this has really been driven by feedback that we've obtained over the years, and we recognise there's an absolutely kind of a gap there that we can focus on to be able to kind of deliver the right solution and right approach. But yeah, the approach remains the same.
Okay.
It's just within a more focused environment.
Okay, that sounds really good. And just one final question around the tiers, and it's to do with support. So is the support level that you receive the same? So whether that's technical support or your account management, are there any is there any distinction with the different tiers and the support that we provide?
The only change is that for SD-WAN Essentials, you don't automatically get a service manager. You've got all the normal service routes are available to you, and the level of support you get is exactly the same across all the tiers.
Okay.
But you've not got a dedicated service manager.
Okay. I guess the fact that it's a much simpler deployment just removes the need for that. But if that need became apparent, then we'd obviously bring a service manager in.
That is an optional extra, by the way. So it is an option. It's just that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we see from our significant MPLS estate is that once it's set in the right way, we don't tend to see too many moves, adds and changes in life. So hence the reason why, in order to kind of keep it commercially attractive, that's one of the things we saw as kind of not essential, but again, it can be bolted off should the customer require that and see it of value in that particular service.
Okay. And whilst we're expecting MPLS to carry on for a good few years yet, longer term, we're expecting to see a convergence around SD-WAN for pretty much all of our wider area networking solutions.
Yeah, I think that's the general direction of travel that we can see, that especially with cloud adoption.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Okay. Well, I think that's kind of covered off our free service tiers. If anyone needs any more advice, Enzo, if you're an existing customer, you can pay a visit to your account team and get some advice on that.
Pay a visit to the account team. There's a dedicated SD-WAN page on our website. So if you find that via the business and enterprise section, it'll have all the relevant contact details to drop us an email, give us a call, and we can take it from there and support you.
Fantastic. Okay. That was very helpful. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Stu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.